Welcome to Sister Strong, a podcast and video series all about possibility. I am your host, Betsy Wiersma. This podcast and video series is our way to share ideas and insights and education and great people that might have an idea for your toolbox as we stand sister strong together for health and happiness. Try it on and see if something here might work for you. Today, we are so blessed to have on the show a good friend, a committee member for CampExperience, an amazing healer, a Reiki Master, Krista Igoe. Welcome, Krista.
Hey, hello, everybody.
We're so happy to have you here because, you know, keeping our energy up and keeping our energy clean and all the things that you're an expert in is super important, not only now in a time of different, I'm just calling it different, but also in the new normal, right? It's just a great skill to work on. So would you start by telling everybody a little bit about you so they can get to know you and your skills?
Me? I'm originally a New Yorker, have lived around the country in Southern California, Northern California, Ohio, Texas, and now here in the Denver metro area. A corporate background that I kind of evolved into doing Reiki, even though I'd been doing different concepts of energy all my life and kind of tapping in there in various different ways. And then 11 years ago, kind of really said it's time to do this professionally. You know, it's time to kind of now or never. So
start there, because I would like you to go back to 101, all right? So corporate person, but you decided to do Reiki, and some people listening might not know what that is. So you kind of go back, what is Reiki? And then, you know, tell everybody the basics.
Right. So part of it is 28 years ago, I started studying different forms of energy. So I kind of, and I'd heard the term Reiki from a classmate back in the 90s, but we talked apples and oranges, so I didn't really understand what she was saying. And then 11 years ago, just really kind of fell into this, and Reiki just felt home for me. And we all have something. There's more than one way to get from point A to point B, but Reiki is what really resonated with me and felt whole and complete and just really shifted my daily life as I use Reiki so many times throughout the day. But the term Reiki, first of all, stepping back on an energy level, this is an energy that's been on the planet probably since the beginning of time. There's evidence in the hieroglyphics of the pyramids that they were using Reiki there in some of their drawings and illustrations there. Every ancient culture has had its way of tapping into this energy. The term Reiki is a Japanese term. It's a compound word of Rei and Ki, Ki being energy or life force energy and Rei being universal. So it means universal life force energy, and it's an energy that's kind of all around us at the time. One way to look at it is we are taught how to harness that. It's kind of wafty, different little molecules, you know, like when you breathe oxygen, you can't isolate an oxygen molecule. And yet we're taught in how to do that, how to kind of bring that into a concentrated form. So it kind of goes in, and it's been mapped by Stanford of how it can literally go in through the crown chakra, through the top of the head, and kind of come at our hands. So it's really cool. There's not a whole lot of scientific evidence just because it takes money for all that, but what evidence there is really cool to kind of see. So on the physics end of it, it's simply an energy, and whenever you bring anything into a concentrated form or a laser beam form, you know, it has value. Much like water, you can't drink water out of a pond, but say you had water coming through a hose, you can pour a glass with that easily. So it's a similar concept on that. So, but the Japanese element of it is because 100 years ago, a Japanese man in his spiritual quest tapped into this energy and was shown how to access it, how to teach it, how to utilize it. And so, you know, it's kind of morphed from that into this program called Reiki, which has evolved over the years with higher vibrations coming through because the planet is vibrating higher. We all know that. We think of time going faster and faster. It's because it is. So.
Well, I want to go back through because people are like, well, yeah, what? Yes. Oh, so I'm the
Rein me in.
I'm always the translator. So I'm just going to say it back and then you correct me because then we can all, you know, just, so there's energy all around, been here since the beginning of time. And through time, you have evidence and people have studied how energy is harnessed, like you used the example of water in a pond versus water in a spout. So you are what is called a Reiki Master, which means you have done many, many years of study in how to harness energy for good and how to help it work on this planet for good. Would that be
Yes.
a layman's term? Okay,
Sure.
so all this energy is around. So tell us a little bit more now, as a human, how do we know about our own energy? How do we access energy? And at the end, we'll talk about how you help people access energy. So kind of, what are some tips about energy in general, and what can regular people do to understand it better and to get, start using it?
We all have our instincts. We all understand, mankind, on one hand, we've forgotten a lot of our primal understanding of things. But there's other parts that are the same. Say we walk into a room, with a whole bunch, say a conference room, when, in the corporate world, and you walk into a meeting late and you go, uh-oh, what's going on here? Because you can just feel the thickness in the air. And so we still have those instincts. How do we know that? It's not necessarily by the faces. It's that we still have those instincts. So we do still feel energy. We have instincts too. When our child is crying, we hug, or a friend is crying, we hug, we nurture. We're giving our own energy. We're receiving that energy. When we hurt, if you bang your arm, because I'm on camera, I'll go high here. We instinctively reach. Well, what we're doing is we're trying to harness some energy that we perhaps in the past had the ability, and we do have to some, but it kind of comes up in just kind of a low grade, as opposed to when you learn a skill and learn how to use energy. And there are many different ways of using energy. Reiki is only one way. There is no be all end all. It's what works for someone, what resonates for someone. January could be different than April, or 2020 could be different than 2023. So it's like what works for you, what feels right for you.
Okay, so Reiki masters and people like you that study, you learn the skill then of harnessing someone's own energy or energy from the planet, and then putting it to work. So tell people some of the benefits, now let's talk about Reiki in general, the benefits of getting Reiki work and working with a Reiki master.
So a combination of things. What Reiki does is, Reiki is a high vibration. So if we think about low vibrations and high vibrations, and there's many different ways in our life where we talk about it, whether it's in the law of attraction or anything, when we vibrate higher, we can accomplish more. So Reiki, by administering that healing, and it's a pure, some call divine energy, that is always for highest good. It's never for harm. It won't work that way. But it can help restore and replenish. So I often talk about people going around as being a piece of Swiss cheese. Life has taken a hole from us here and a hole from us there, and we've got nicks and bumps and scratches and holes all over us. And Reiki is that gentle, soothing replenishment to fill those holes. So imagine if you are going around more whole and complete, how much easier your life is, and how much more grace you have in your life, and how much more you can accomplish, and how much better you feel. It's like taking a vacation on the beach, if the beach is what resonates for you. It's like taking that vacation all the time, to be able to, gosh, I feel so much better. I've had a good night's sleep. I've had a vacation. I've had Reiki. So what it does inside also is it can put our bodies have its own innate wisdom in how to heal. And by shifting the body into that place where the balance can achieve of putting, just kind of getting everything on an even keel, the body can start to heal from the inside out, as opposed to most of Western medicine is from the outside in. So often they work as a team, and I remind people it's not either or. And I want to throw in that term alternative healing, which many people use, where essentially Reiki is complementary healing. It often works in conjunction with something else. It can work on its own, but it doesn't have to. So, if I see clients who have cancer, I'm not saying don't go to your oncologist. I'm saying, let's support your oncologist. If I have people who are in psychotherapy, it's like, I'm not saying don't do that, do this instead, but this can support that process to help heal faster, to help get to what needs to happen faster. So they can work together as a team.
Well, and I would comment, as someone who you have worked on, you know, what Reiki feels like as an outsider. So you're kind of the professional, is you can show up who you are, relax on a Reiki table for a session, and at the end, you just feel like an energy adjustment, like things are calmed down where there had been a hole or a loss or, you know, I'm using very layman's terms, a stress or a area of kind of discomfort. It's like Reiki is a way that you as a professional take that energy and work on the areas it needs to be and get everybody singing the same song, playing the same songbook, and back in rhythm again, kind of a refresher of energy. So it's fascinating and fun. And tell everybody, how much training does it take? Because, you know, people are like, what, you know? So in honor of all Reiki masters, if you are one of them, tell everybody a little bit about how much training, and then we'll talk about how they can work with you.
So I do want to add one other thing, though, because what you were saying was, you know, I also want to point out, sometimes as a practitioner, I'm feeling things that need to be released. You know, the grief. Grief is a good one, a good example, or stress or anxiety. I worked on someone yesterday on a distant level where the anxiety of everything going on is just totally in her gut. And just to help remove that and replace it with pure energy, oh, she can breathe a little better. In terms of training, it's interesting because there are still variations in how things are trained. 100 years ago or 80 years ago, I mean, it would take people a year. Level 1, you'd spend a year, then you'd go to level 2. But we're going faster these days, and the people on the planet can accept more. So typically, Reiki 1 is an entry level, but there's a lot of conversation about what energy is, about boundaries, healing boundaries, and, you know, kind of going through the process and practice on that. And that works to teach people how to work on a physical level. Reiki 2 is a little shorter because you don't have to get into the theory, and that can work on, that's usually a 5-hour class, and that can work on how to work on a mental and emotional level, as well as the really cool thing of working on a distant level. And then you can get into master, and then there are other different master levels to go through. Most of these are, you know, when you get to the master level, they're more like a 3-day intensive class. And, you know, you're at the end, you're both exhilarated and fried and to kind of process it all. But, you know, we are in amazing times where I've seen with my students in teaching over the past 11 years, where even at the Reiki 1 class level, they get it so much faster. And so we don't need a whole, there are still teachers who teach old school where you're going to learn this level and do this for a year and then learn that. And it's not necessary. Most of my students just get it.
Yeah.
So,
well, tell everybody, so everybody now is like, yes, I want what she's having. Krista not only does long distance that she just mentioned, she has worked on me, long distance, my daughter, who's been around the world. I've had such great results with knowing that Krista has been in charge of some energy, and it was very helpful. I call you out again during the passing of my mom on her way to heaven. We're adding positive Reiki to the situation and to our family and to the nurses and doctors was really an important part of her journey. So thank you again for that. So Krista is a wealth of information. She is a teacher. She has classes online and classes in person someday soon. Krista, tell everyone.
when the world returns to normal.
That's right, when we get to our new normal, but I'm taking the online meditation class. So she also teaches classes in meditation and pendulums. There are so many cool things. We could go on forever. We don't have that much time. Krista, how do people find you?
So my website is www.revivewithreiki, which is REIKI.com, revivewithreiki.com. And I'm in the Denver area, but I work with people all over the place. So what that tells you how to find me.
Yeah. Well, what it tells you is, again, the purpose of these videos and audio series, this podcast, is just to start giving people some tools. And so if you're hearing this story and you're either you know all about Reiki, but you just need a great Reiki master that works long distance and also can be your coach. If you are currently practicing Reiki and you're thinking, wow, yeah, that person seems cool. I'd like to go up a level. I'd like to refine my skills in pendulums. I'd like to take a meditation class. Okay, those are only my things. I'd like to do Reiki for my aging pet. Okay, that's another one of my things.
That's mine too, as I've got a kitty with cancer right now.
Yeah, see, so that's another area that Reiki works. And I just find that Krista is really a thought leader that is of service. I know her heart very well. She is a big volunteer in the CampExperience Network when we do good and have fun. So thank you all for listening to Sister Strong, a podcast and video series about possible. It is our job to bring ideas, inspiration, education, great women and connections to stand sister strong for health and happiness and to help you on your journey. Please share this broadcast, share this podcast series with anyone looking for uplifting ideas, new contacts, new resources, unconditional love, and good old-fashioned fun. I am your host, Betsy Wiersma.